In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to properly plot a graph, a line graph that is, using the data that is given. First of all, you have to understand what data was given. In this example, they're testing the gas or they're measuring the amount of gas bubbles produced by Elodia by placing the plant at different light distance. For 10 centimeter, they had 40 bubbles or gas bubbles produced. For 20 centimeters, they had 20 gas bubbles. For 30 centimeters, they had 10 gas bubbles. And for 40 centimeters, they had 5 gas bubbles. First off, we have to determine what is our dependent and what is our independent variable. From previous lessons, we have noticed that our dependent variables are basically variables that we count or measure in a lab. So we are measuring to see if our experiment work, and in this case, we are measuring the production or the amount of gas bubbles. So this is our dependent variable. Our independent variable is here, INDE. So on our graph, we have our x-axis and our y-axis. This is our x-axis, this is our y. Our x-axis is always our independent variable. So this is going to be our x, and our y-axis is what our dependent variable is going to be, and this is y. So again, you're given a table. First of all, determine what is your independent and your dependent. Ask yourself, what is my dependent variable? And the answer would be, what am I measuring or counting to see if my experiment worked? Once you have determined your dependent and independent, place them on the axis. Independent variable will go on the x-axis and your dependent variable will go on the y-axis. So I'm going to put gas bubble, and then that is measured in minutes. So the units have to be always present. And then our x-axis will have our independent variable, and that is distance, D-I-S-T-A-N-C-E, from light and that is measured in centimeters. After we've determined our dependent and independent variable, the next thing we have to do is number our axes. Now, sometimes it's very easy. I can just look at this table and see there are units of 5 or 10 and go from 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, or I can do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Sometimes we can have numbers that are in 3, 6, 9, 12, and so forth. To determine this, we have to stop and think for a minute. What is our lowest range? So let's do this for y first. And what is our highest range? In this case, our lowest range is 5, and our highest range is 40. Most of the time, we want to use the entire. Actually, I would prefer if you use your entire graph paper. So let's see if we could use 5. If we start here with 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, it's going to use half of the graph paper. So let's try to use every 2 units. So we're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Again, this is much better because we're using up most of our graph paper. So that works perfectly. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Now let's determine the the increments for our independent variable. Our lowest value is 10 and our highest value is 40. So let's see if we use the first one. If we say this is 10, 20, 30, 40, nope, we can't use that because the graph is going to only take up a little bit of the graph paper, so let's try every 2 units. 10, 20, 30, 40. Nope. Let's use 3. 10, 20, 30, 40. Yep, that works. So we can do that. So this is going to be 10. This is going to be 20. This is going to be 30. And finally 40. Now that we have our axis labeled with our numbers, we can then go ahead and start plotting. So 10 on our x-axis matches up with 40 on our y. So 10 on our x matches up with 40 on the y, and that will be right here. After you put the point, I want you to draw a circle around the point. And that will be a standard for most of your line graphs that you're going to do. Every time you put the point, you draw a circle. The next number is 20 and 20. So our x-axis, we locate 20. On our y-axis, 20 also, it will go right here. Draw a circle. Then we have 30 on our x, 10 on y. So 30 and 10. Dot, circle. And then we have 40 on the x-axis and 5 on the y. That will be here. The next thing I want you to do is that I want you to draw a line connecting the points. Sorry if my line is not that straight. So now that you have plotted your graph, all you need to do is to add a title. Your title is basically a combination of your headings from row table, which is distance of plant from light and the amount of gas that is produced per minute. So you can say that graph showing the distance of plants from light and the amount of or the gas production per minute. You have to also notice that the plot that I have is the numbers that they give me, 10 and 40, 20 and 20, 30 and 10, and so forth. I did not combine, or I did not add a line that will run towards 0. If you do that, it will be absolutely wrong. So ensure that when you're connecting your points, you're only attaching the lines or drawing a straight line from point that they give you. And that is that, and that.